Hey, the Prime Minister of Singapore came to the country the other day, and this brought back to my mind the famous story that once upon a time, Kenya was doing so much better than Singapore economically, and that was at independence. Let me paint the picture for you. Singapore became an independent republic on the 9th of August 1965, and by 1990s, this country had become one of the world's most prosperous nations. At independence, that's their independence, over 70% of its citizens lived in slums. The country did not have any natural resources. Majority of them were opium drug addicts, and people, because of poverty, were fighting one another left, right, and center. Now fast forward to the present time, where Singapore is the fourth richest nation in the world, with one of the best infrastructure, world-class education and healthcare, a leader in high-tech manufacturing, and is now the financial and logistical hub of all of Southeast Asia. If you compare GDP per capita, and with this one I mean the average measure of income of a country per citizen, Singapore is currently at 82,794 USD, while Kenya is at 2081 US dollars. I will let that sink in for a moment. So how did Singapore rise from the bottom to become the fourth richest nation in the world? And what did they do different that Kenya didn't, or maybe refused to do? By the way, some of the things they did are a conversation that I don't think we are ready to have currently as Kenyans. Their leader at independence, known as Lee Kuan Yew, did I just get that one right? Anyway, he was a visionary leader with a clear vision for the country's future. He brought very strong leadership. He brought political stability and good governance based on the rule of law and transparency, which created a good, stable, and conducive environment for business to operate and thrive. He dealt harshly with corruption. He lowered taxes and opened up the economy to attract investors from abroad. Generally, he came up with very sound economic policies. He also invested heavily, by the way, in education to build a highly skilled labor force, which he believed was the greatest asset that the nation could invest in, since they didn't have any natural resources. And now to my focus point, the one thing that became the backbone, which brought along the transformation of Singapore's economy. Now, please underline the word savings. Or let me just say it as it is, mandatory savings. To show you the difference here, President Ruto of Kenya, one and only, recently moved to increase pension savings to 6% of your salary and introduced a 3% of your salary for housing fund savings, which are not taxes, by the way, but savings. And a majority of us, including leaders, are fighting so bad to ensure that this does not take place, my friend. So let me tell you a little bit about the mandatory savings that Lee Kuan Yew introduced that transformed that Singapore into the Singapore we all admire. He created a fund called CPF, or Central Provident Fund, whereby every citizen and permanent resident had to save 20% of their salary, and your employer contributes an extra 17% for you. Did I just say 20%? Yes, it's 20% of your salary. Oh, and by the way, did we just fight about 9% savings? We actually want maandamano. Lee Kuan Yew had a plan to have this for retirement initially, but then repurposed it to 3 different accounts. Out of your total 37% savings, he divided them into an ordinary account, which took 23% of your savings, a special account, which took 6% of your savings, and a MediSave account, which took 8% of the savings. The ordinary account was meant to hold money for retirement, housing, and education. The special account, which is the second account, was specifically for retirement or pension only. And finally, the MediSave account, just as the name suggests, was for medical expenses only. The money could only be withdrawn strictly at either retirement, or paying for housing, or pay for education, or medical expenses, approved investments, or any other required compulsory payments by the government. People would actually be penalized if they are tempted to withdraw for any other reason apart from the ones that we've just mentioned. And through the savings, now Singapore is one of the world's top countries with the highest savings rates. And because of that, it has improved their living standards greatly. Imagine 80% now live in their own homes, which were built by the government, that housing fund thing, and the remaining 20% in their private homes. Poverty has significantly reduced because during the time of need, they have readily available cash reserves that will cushion them through the hard times. They now have improved healthcare. Actually, it's world-class healthcare and financial security. Now, losing 20% of your salary is painful, and that is besides the tax that you pay, but combined with the other factors of governance that I had already mentioned earlier, it has brought Singapore from being a poor third world country to the first world country that it is now in under 40 years, my friend. What do you think? Can Kenya now adopt some of these ways and begin its journey of transformation economically? Are we ready for that conversation? Let me know what you think in the comment section below, and please don't forget to like and subscribe to join me in Moneyversations to learn more on financial literacy. And just as I say always, I'm looking forward to seeing you in the next video.